Wait, was that the one?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
However, we have made a mistake.
Oh, we have made a mistake. Shit. No, go in person.
There,
There we go.
we are total professionals. Yeah, total professionals. And,
Total professionals. Yes.
We are currently rewatching our fuck up on stream because we've had massive technical difficulties. We've got to turn my phone down.
That is you. Again, professionalism.
That is what we stand for.
So evening, Dol.
Evening con tonight, first night in person.
I mean, it's not like in person's a big thing.
No, well, from upstairs to downstairs.
We're literally, whenever we film, we are 10 feet away from each other.
We could almost touch.
No.
Okay, I thought we could say that.
So, as anybody watching this who's scared, who's worried about COVID, we technically live together.
Yes, he is my upstairs neighbor, I'm his downstairs neighbor.
We see each other on a daily basis.
Yes,
And
and
both
neither
of
of us, we both work from home, so neither of us leave the house, pretty much. So this is
Except for
kinda-
last night. Last night was the first time in a week that I left the house.
Do you have COVID?
No.
Where did you go?
You know where I went.
Was I with you?
We met at the shops when you were leaving.
Yes. Oh, we went shopping.
Yes.
Wow, today has not been a good day for me. I'll say that and leave it at
Well,
that.
okay, then moving on. The reason why we're doing this together in person is because of extenuating circumstances in the form of Dylan's computer shitting itself.
So yes, I am officially computerless up until I get my shit together and make money.
And that's a lot of money.
Yeah, roughly about 6,000. Yes, Wallow. Shocking, what law revealed that yes, we are neighbors. But yes. Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah, it is popping up in chat. Okay.
Oh, neighbours. Oh,
Yeah,
shocking law reveal.
welcome.
Okay, because this is a bit of a learning curve, I'm going to close this door.
Yeah, that's fine. So, while he absolutely struggles to move a heater that has wheels,
Broken wheels.
they still work.
Not
We
like
are-
they used to before.
We'll get down to the main point of tonight's
There we go.
podcast, stream and VOD. Would you like to review?
I thought you were. Oh wait,
I was last on.
you were last one. We are going to be discussing each other's. If you could forget a piece of media and then get to re-experience it again
For the first time.
for the first time, what would that be and why?
So we had a subsection of a total of 4 choices or 4 discussions.
4 categories.
4 categories for discussion. The first being movies, second being books, third being series, and then the fourth being game. Obviously not specifically in that order, but we'll discuss it in the manner in which we see fit. So, the reason why I think we should start with this one is because I know you are a massive fan. You are a bookworm. To the T, no matter what, if I can't find you playing on your PC, you are reading a book. So, I will post the first question, Con, of the evening, starting the stream.
My shit together.
Your list, what would be the first, or what would be the book that you would want to re-experience for the first time, whether it be a single book on its own or an actual series of books, because again, missing out one book but knowing the rest of the series is kind of pointless. So we did give that a bit of leeway.
On spoilers.
Yes, so heavy spoiler duty. So there's no point in skipping just one out of a trilogy or so forth. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay, so mine when we come up with this, my first thought was immediately The Magicians.
Now that's the okay.
But the books.
The book series,
The
yes, because
books.
I know for a fact they did make a series of it.
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay. It's immediately forgotten
They didn't.
in the rest of the world.
Yeah, you can bring that up, and not the American television. The Magicians by Lev Grossman. Do you wanna
Let's not do that. Let's do it the right way.
look? Though my dislike for the Magicians TV show is not because of the TV show. The first couple seasons were great. It just got very off kilter. But I guess it's because at the time that I read this, and anybody who's read these books this is gonna be a huge tell for what kind of person I am. But it really spoke to me. And
Hence the imagination required when reading a book. But yes.
No. Just the circumstances that the main character finds himself, or the mindset that the main character finds himself is very much.
Let me pause you there. Again, we're going to say this every single session, every single podcast, every single VOD, every single stream. This is spoiler content. Have you not read the books? Have you not watched the series? Have you not watched the movies? Have you not played the games? And we discuss it. We do discuss it in detail. We discuss, he could provide a brief description of how the series works, of what the main idea is. If you haven't watched it or haven't read it or so forth, but you want to do it yourself, please, we urge you to stop, go read, go watch whatever. The VOD will be up on our YouTube page, of course, so you can find us there in Absolute Buggery. But continuing off of that, can you give us a brief description of the Magicians?
Okay, so Quentin Coldwater is, I think in the books, he's finished high school and he was trying to figure out what university he wanted to go to, but much like myself, suffers from depression, and the book deals with that a lot, and the whole thing is and even Lev Grossman also has spoken about the fillery books in his book series being a blatant rip-off of C.S. Lewis's Narnia. And Quentin rereads these books and he wants there to be more to life. And that's when he gets invited to Breakbulls College, which is a magical college in the north of New York. And for me personally, I always wanted there to be more to life. Like what we're doing now is my absolute hell.
Being the panic and
working and just
working for the man.
Yeah, well, not necessarily work for the man. Just it's a struggle that I think a lot of people do deal with. And when I read the book, the first one, The Magicians, it really spoke to me, and I got into it, and I've read it a couple times now. And it just, if I could re-experience that, but again, with any of the stuff that we're going to speak to now, I think age will have changed how we perceive the media, or how we perceive what these things are, because it may not cause the same goblin brain goo that it did the first time around.
Well, picking on that, especially thinking about how normal life has put you in terms of, you're now in a stable
stable
not
job.
really stable, but a static position in life. You wake up in the morning, you do your natural routine, you work, whatever, and then you go back to bed type of thing. So having something to escape to as you read in the book, I'm guessing that would still give the same brain goo, especially an escape from...
It would, but I did also read it when I was about 19. So
a good few years ago. 7 years ago.
7 years ago. So, and I was a different person then, because I'm a grown ass man now.
Well, you're tall.
I'm tall. I've been
extremely.
Tall again. I've been tall since I was I haven't been carted at a bar since I was 14. But the way I think about life is different now to what it was back then, because back then I was just a college dropout.
Well, we do have a thank you from Talora. Hello, Talora. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for Talora for introducing her to the Magicians.
It's a pleasure, Laura.
Apparently, she really appreciates it, and I can see why.
Yeah, it's also...
It would obviously be the series of books, not just the first.
What I'd also appreciate about the books is that it's not like, say, your Harry Potter, where it all takes place where the characters are in their teens or early 20s. The third book starts out with Quentin being in his 30s. So it really allows for more life experience rather than 7, 10, 15 years. It's him being about 19, 20 in the first book and then being 30 in the last, and seeing how being part of a magical subculture and using actual magic has changed his life. And it's awesome. I do recommend that anybody who hasn't read it go and read all 3 books and keep your opinions about Quentin's bitchiness to yourself.
So, your natural opinion granted to our world, as we see with our 4 viewers. Don't know who Resettles is, being myself, Wallo and Laura, thank you guys. I don't know, that might be a bot, but if it isn't, thank you. The first time Connor told me about the magicians, he said it's like Harry Potter if he were depressed and went to university, and that stuck with me for all after all these years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that puts a nail in the coffin of the idea of the book.
Yeah, pretty much.
And not only just being university, I guess, being depressed in life and going further on.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, what was yours?
So everyone who knows me knows my favorite book.
Yes.
Down to the fucking detail, because I loved. So Connor introduced me. He brought this idea of doing podcasts about pop culture to me. So my massive pop culture throw would be Ready Player One. Yes. I know everyone's watched the movies, everyone's on the roll about it. I've enjoyed them both. I've enjoyed them both separately. But I personally enjoyed the book separately better as if you take them 2 as a standalone.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the book. I mean, there's obviously more details. The references are far greater.
Yeah, they're far more in depth and
Yeah, I mean, I want to just... Sorry, I have dogs. They're being annoying as fuck.
Well, if anybody watches my solo streams, they see Dora appear and like...
Yeah, well, you won't see them because they're short as fuck, but anyway.
But Ready Player One does pass my test, which is the book is good on its own, the movie is good on its own, as 2 separate pieces of media, but there is a fairly decent comparison when you...
there's a very fine crossover between the 2 which still works.
Yes.
So separating, as people like to separate Harry Potter books from Harry Potter movies or from series and movies, there's love-hate relationship between the 2. Funny enough, I've found that Ready Player One is not one of them.
No.
Ready Player One, I can enjoy them both, even with the connection.
Yeah, but I think that stems from having Ernest Cline
having a big voice inside the production of the movie itself. Obviously, Ready Player One being a follow story I think they put him in as a 19-year-old, Wade Watts.
He's young.
Yeah, a young, juvenile, whippersnapper, as young old people will say. Following living in the life of VR, where pretty much a virtual reality world called the Oasis, made by Gregorious Games, has taken over the world, and pretty much everything that exists in life works within the Oasis.
Oh, I mean, people had jobs in the Oasis.
Yes, one thing that I know for a fact that was not in the movie, Wade Watts had a technician job in a technician company within the Oasis.
Wasn't that after he got...
After he got the first key. So
yeah, that was when he got captured, wasn't it? That he got
before capture. No, so
it's been a good couple of years since I last read the...
No, so I remember quite a bit. So obviously things that don't appear in the movie do appear in the books and so forth. But he does have a technician job where he works as IT technician, if you would like to put it. But fantastic rendition. Obviously, the movie and the book does separate when referring to who goes into IOI. In the book, IOI is entered actually by Wade Watts himself, where he schemes up a plan to take down IOI from the inside.
Yeah, and he goes through the whole...
hacking the system through this tiny little screen inside of his room, and in the movie itself being...
Artemis.
Artemis, yes. Artemis, who then goes inside. So, Samantha. Yeah, not Sam, just Samantha. But yeah, so I loved it for all of its references. It made, in the book itself, it made a lot more references to the more pop culture and the more retro.
There were a lot of deep cuts in that as well. Like Baku Banzai references, which also
That was that was deep.
yeah.
In terms of like pop culture,
And there's slight references as well, like the Zemeckis cube, the bomb that.
yeah. So
grenade
now,
that's-
obviously, now what we're discussing only happened in the movie. Zemeckis
No,
cube
that's-
didn't happen in the series.
Oh,
in the
okay.
book itself. Sorry.
Well, it's
but
technically a series.
Now that number 2 has come out for all of those out there. Number 2, the movie is not out for all of those people on Facebook. Just saying. But yes, we are both currently going through the process of reading Ready Player 2.
It's taken me 3 months, and I've gotten 4 chapters in.
I think you're like a chapter ahead of me, so don't feel too bad.
But I feel that the second one doesn't capture the same excitement that
No,
the first one does.
No, I think there was a bigger uproar since the movie came out that, I mean, a lot of people are now taking it in that the movie is what they're waiting for,
But
not
even,
necessarily the book.
even so, the first book had a huge cult following, and I've heard virtually nothing about the second book. But I think it's because it doesn't have the same thing.
No,
that
I feel
first
like
one did.
I think going off that, I think the movie got a bigger cult following, and all of those who had a cult following within the books moved to movies, therefore ignoring the book, the second book coming out, and just focusing on whether the second movie itself will be a big hit, if not even
Yeah.
bigger. But yeah, I found it fantastic. I not only read the book, but I also did the audio
Book. Yeah.
book, which was amazingly read by Mr. Walt Wheaton himself.
That
Having
guy.
that dirty voice in my ear was amazing.
That guy has made a career for himself outside of Star Trek by just being part of Star Trek.
Yeah, pretty much. Ripping off Star Trek in the process at the same time. But also he did read another book of Ernest Cline's
Armada.
Armada, which again, fantastic book on its own. Ernest Cline, for any of you who want to know, go read their books.
I have
read
not
his books.
actually read Armada. I think I own it, but
I haven't read it. I have listened to the audiobook. It
Well, read
also
it.
yeah. I have
Consume
listened.
the source material.
It is fantastic.
Um,
You did recommend it. Funny enough, you recommended Armada to me.
oh yeah,
because
after
I
you were done
was-
with
yeah, I was
Ready Player
in
One.
a bit of a outside of the normal life kind of itch. So whether it be virtual reality or any sort of fantasy realm world, I kind of went on a bit of a binge, but mainly focused on audiobooks, and that didn't go out so well for me because all of them were fucking horrible. But
yeah, that's something that I also struggle with is finding audiobooks because you have to get the right author and the right narrator.
yeah,
Is
you
it-
need someone who portrays the main character, if there is a main character point, well enough.
Yeah.
That whether he speaks on behalf of someone else in the book, it is as if that character then refers to remembering that person speak,
Well, I
just
mean,
using his own voice.
a book series that I've read through. I've listened to the audiobooks, but then I read the latest one that came out. Is The Gentleman Bastards, and the guy who narrates it is fucking excellent. Though he is like a older, gravellier voiced gentleman.
Yeah.
He still does all of the characters justice, which was great. What do you?
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure we have chat up for all of those. Because, again, technical difficulties, we're working off of my wife PC, so please bear with us if anything goes wrong, and if you see anything, blame my wife, don't blame me. But yeah, so...
I hope she's in the chat for that.
Probably not. Oh shit, we have more viewers.
Bots
Commander Root, probably a
and
bot.
me.
Okay, hold on, I think that changed. Casmadan for some reason they might be watching it upstairs. But yeah, putting that all aside, my favorite book to date, and again, thank you for introducing me to Ready Player One. You did that before the movie came out, because we had in the process of talking about D&D a lot, and I was telling you about books along the line of virtual reality or fantasy world, and you did exactly that. Provide me Ready Player One before the movie came out, and it became this massive hit. So I can be the one to say I read the book before the movie was cool. I'm that cool. I'm hip.
You're like me now. You just read books before everybody else catches on.
Yeah, and it's like, this is different from the book. People will be like, the fuck you mean book? But no, like, especially in comparisons between the two, I love the fact that Ernest Cline himself got involved.
Mm.
He himself got involved with the producing producing team to make sure that even though it wasn't exactly like the book, it still had a lot of the same idea as the book and it still ran along the same point.
I think that's something that a lot of media that has like a book or a comic as the source material, when it gets transferred over to a visual medium, be it or like TV or movies, is that they don't bring the author on.
Yeah, so
or
they
the creators, so they
often
miss
take
that.
it as they take the material given to them and then adapt it to be their own,
Yeah.
which I think is a lot of which is the main problem as to why people lose interest
Yeah,
or find problems between the two.
because it doesn't have the touch of the author, which
Yeah.
they would have gravitated to initially getting interested in.
But also the other point was that I think without the author, producing people generally have fears. It's called
a
hipster. Yes.
Apparently, I said
Thank
that.
you, Connor. For whoever's on Casmadan, you can please type your name so we can yell at you later. I am hipster. Thank you. But not including the author within the producing team, it often leads them to try and rush things because
Or
out
they don't-
of fear that this might flop and this is the only chance they get to work with it and then prevent someone else from doing the same.
I think also another thing that comes into that is that the production team, especially when it's a new IP and there's they don't know if it's going to succeed and they exclude the author, they don't have the deft touch that the
Yeah.
author did have handling the source material.
Yeah, so again, we have our arguments, but I mean, everyone has their arguments whether the book was better, whether this movie was better, whether the series was better. In Ready Player One, there is no argument. Both of them are fantastic. Go watch the movie, go read the book, you'll understand. Personally. Now I'm going to throw a curveball to you,
Yeah.
because we didn't discuss this. Runner-up.
Runner up. What do you mean runner
What
up?
would your runner-up book be to re-experience?
Okay, that's far more difficult.
I
I suppose if I was a better fantasy reader, I'd be like, no, it's Lord of the Rings or it's Dune. But I honestly,
No, I think it would be Skullduggery Pleasant.
it would, but I would have significant challenges rereading it because of the first three books. Because the first three books are far more focused on a younger audience. So me now, I can go and reread those books because I know what's coming for me,
Yeah.
what's going to happen, and how much the
But
books
whether
are.
you stick through,
Yeah.
watching it for the first time, or reading it for the first time, would be a different.
It's going to be different because the first trilogy is a much lower grade. So the stories that are being told are not as grown up because it really trains upwards from book 4 onwards, and it gets super gory. that's legitimately what happens. But I know what yours is.
What?
This is going to be Percy Jackson.
It is. The only reason because I read those through high school, loved them. Friend of mine at the time introduced me to them. Fantastic books. Watched the movie, the first movie, The Lightning Thief. It was good.
It was good.
It was good.
It
Sea
didn't-
of Monsters, however, I don't know who produced it, why you did. I don't think they read the book. Someone gave them a summary of a summary, and they splashed through that way too quickly. It was horrendous. I did not appreciate that book.
Percy Jackson did have the movies did have the opportunity to be the next Harry Potter.
They did, and I mean there was out of the main group series alone, I think there was 7 books.
I think it's only
6.
5.
No, I think we can take a look. Oh yeah, I didn't do that for Ready Player One. Whoops, but that's fine.
Percy Jackson.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, fan art. No, there's only 5 books.
Okay.
5 books in the first, and then in the first series, and then 5 in the second.
Yeah, and then obviously going from Rick Riordan, moving from the Egyptian mythology, then Greek mythology, also moved into Egyptian.
Yes, with the Kane Chronicles.
Yeah,
But it all got a little like muddy eventually.
Yeah,
like I
it's-
tried reading one, and Annabeth was there, and the dude was like Thor.
yeah. I read the first one. It was confusing as fuck. The first one with the Kane Chronicles, confusing as fuck. But I loved Percy Jackson. I mean, the movie being, Alexandra Daddario, those eyes. Yes, fantastic decision, especially for choice and cast. They
Yes.
did extremely well for this. Did you hear they're trying to produce a TV series for Percy Jackson? That I did not.
Yes, Rick Riordan actually did a whole thing on Twitter about it. He like announced it himself. So it has been confirmed that he is working on it. They are doing a TV series for it.
I hope they get some of the original cast.
I think the original cast may be a little old for that though.
Don't care at some point. Again, Rick Riordan can play with it. He is the creator of the books, therefore he can therefore adjust them. But again, having the writer of the original series, the original content, be a part of it, that tends to make it better.
Not always.
For me, well, other the experience that I've had, I haven't had as much experience. I haven't read as much as you. You are a library when it comes to books. I go into his house and there are about 4 or 5 bookshelves filled. So yes, you have a lot more experience. I've read these 2 groups of books, and that's as far as I've gotten. No, that's as.
Okay, that's that one.
But yes, thank you guys in the chat. This is actually a lot more chat than usual, so I'm very happy. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it, and thank you for watching. So, you happy with that?
Yeah.
Are you going to leave Skullduggery Pleasant as your runner-up?
I guess so, because there's nothing that I've read as like voraciously as I have read.
And not been the Sandman comic book.
Sandman is a good one, but again, you have to really be like in the mood.
Yeah.
Sandman.
Well, if we did podcasts, you would definitely choose Sandman.
Or audiobooks, because
Audiobooks.
the audio drama for Sandman is excellent. But if we're laying comic books, let me just get the name quickly. I can't believe I've forgotten that.
Before he's butchers it for everyone. I think audiobook for me, same thing. Still be Percy Jackson. Not Percy Jackson. Still be Ready Player One. I appreciated the book, the audiobook, and the movie was done fantastically. So I don't know if anyone has any connections to Ernest Klein or the production team. My name is Dylan Chalmers. You know where to find me. I'm in South Africa, and this is my begging you to let me be.
I'm so angry at myself because I was looking at them. I can find it by going The Wicked and the Divine. That would be my runner-up.
Would this be your official runner-up?
Yes. As a comic, that is far later. I think this is like volume... Damn, it's got to be about volume 9, its cover.
Okay.
But The Wicked and the Divine is an excellent comic series. And I mean, back then I was limiting myself to a single trade paperback a month. I bought 8 in a week.
Jesus. It's kind of came out to like Steve summer sale for us.
Yes, we were like, just one or two, and then
I'm just gonna spend like $500, $2,000 later. Yeah, no, I made mistakes.
Yeah, but that is excellent. If anybody has not read or heard about it, you need to. It is amazing.
Okay, so I threw runner-ups at you because moving on to our next category being movies, I have 2. One which is a definite runner-up, but one which is a permanent choice.
No, look, I didn't give too much thought because I found my movie and I was just like, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
So
and my movie was Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
yes, I think that is probably a very good decision for you.
Yeah.
Again, it's also outside of the norm.
Yeah, I mean, cause
ignoring what was that other fucking horrendous idea of a movie? I can't remember the name. She's in an asylum and she imagines
Oh, Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch was bad.
Yes.
I mean, when I watched it, I was like 15 and it was awesome because
I mean, fucking animation and this chick fighting with a samurai sword. Yeah, and then you look at it going.
it causes it's the brain goblin goo thing again.
Yeah.
Because it, like you see all these cool cinematics, like her fighting that giant samurai dude in the
Yeah.
first like big fight of the movie. That was insane, but it does not go anywhere beyond the spectacle.
No,
of what's
it
going
is. Yeah, for me, it was a. I watched it much later, and it was horrendous. I personally couldn't. But taking that idea that it's outside of the norm, I think Sucker Punch, not Sucker Punch,
on.
Scott Pilgrim definitely takes the same idea, especially with the animations being a video game style defeat my exes.
Because so it's based on a series of comic books by Brandon Lee O'Malley, and it did what the comic books did very well, but it is its own.
Continue.
It's its own piece of media, and it's got there are the issues with it, but it never fails to entertain me, because again it's the visuals, but it's also the story itself is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think especially there's that one iconic scene where his girlfriend, the young Asian lady, comes to the door asking if he's at the house, and he says yeah, and then you see him dive through the window. He's like, oh no,
and
he
Wallace
just left.
like pulls the door
After
closed.
you see him full on dive through, and you watch her as well, watch him dive, and he's like, oh no, he just left, you just missed him, and she's like, oh okay.
That
As if she accepts she ignores what just happened
Yeah.
behind him and goes, did I just
Okay.
imagine that? Oh no, what he's saying must be true.
there's some like the humor, it never fails to make me laugh, like some of the jokes in that movie, and the cast is excellent. I mean, what's his name? I am blanking on everything. Just go click that side. Scroll down. Michael Cera. How did I forget Michael Cera's name? But Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers, Chris Evans, Jason Schwartzman.
Being a big shock for everyone who doesn't know Chris Evans exists outside of the Marvel
Yeah.
Universe.
And that the guy who played Superman in that really bad Superman movie, he's one of the exes.
Wait, don't talk about that.
Mae Whitman, what's Captain Marvel?
Well, there's an entire list here, so you
Oh,
want
there
to
we
talk
go.
about Todd
Okay,
Ingram?
so if we're gonna go through, it's I did not know Bill Hader was the voice, so there's a narrator throughout.
I didn't know he was there either, actually.
Um,
No, he didn't play Shazam.
no, Superman.
No, you're talking about the guy who played Shazam. He's the guy also.
No, Brandon Ruth, Todd Ingram. He played Superman. He
Yeah,
was-
no, he played Superman.
But if we look at the names,
He also plays Atom in the Arrow Cinematic Universe, if I'm not series.
you lost there. I do not watch anything DC, but
I think he does.
so-
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he does.
the cast of this movie was insane. I mean, Brie Larson, Anna Kendrick, Chris Evans, Jason.
Brie
Schwartzman.
Larson?
Yeah, she was his ex-girlfriend.
His ex-girlfriend. Oh, okay. Then again, there's a lot of these characters which I don't necessarily.
But they also
Anna Kendrick also being in there was a big one.
yeah, they I think they got a lot of these actors right when they were starting their career, so they it was a smaller movie, but then again
I think it did big steps for a lot of them.
and it's an Edgar Wright movie. Edgar Wright is the director of the Cornetto trilogy, so
Yes.
Shaun of the Dead,
Yes.
World's
Hot
End,
Fuzz.
and Hot Fuzz, and again he brought something to this movie. It was his style of movie, and I'll watch
I
anything
think,
that Edgar
yeah,
brings
I
out.
think a lot of the work that he did takes the piss out of the normal situation.
Yeah.
I
And-
know the Bloody Mary situation with the Shaun of the Dead. I had a Bloody Mary and he was beating a zombie, killing her, cutting off her head with a shovel.
And I mean, there were such subtle nods to certain, to a lot of video game stuff. Like there's the tiniest little Zelda fanfare in sections, or stuff characters will say, which is the smallest reference.
It's pop culture.
It is. It's much like Ready Player One. It is an ode to pop culture.
Yeah, and it picks up, very much like Ready Player One. It picks at these minor things where you, especially as a reader or a viewer that understands a lot of the pop culture, you catch these and you're like, oh my god, a movie I'm watching somehow made a reference to a song I listened to.
It was a movie that was made for fans.
Yeah, so I think it was also a very, very good decision.
I mean the music as well, because it's another thing that the movie does focus on, music. And
Yeah.
the music was excellent.
Especially some of it being the Street Fighter type, Street Fighter-esque music
Well, that
style.
that fight between Todd and Scott with the bass guitars.
Yes.
Is still like the bass line starting off that is still one of my favorite bass lines across any music that I've ever listened to, because it never fails to get me hyped.
Yeah, well, that's a big choice, big decision there.
Go watch Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, I even suggest the same damn thing. Definitely worth it, even if today you might not think about it. It is massive in terms of pop culture references, and especially if you're a nerd. I know a lot of people, those in the chat, definitely are. If you haven't yet, please go watch it.
I mean, I reference it at least once a week by saying bread makes you fat.
Yes, you make a lot of these references.
I do. I keep because I'll explain the references that I'm currently making that nobody gets when we move on to TV series, but we'll get there in a second.
Which you let slip, by the way.
I did. Not really. Not really.
No,
I
not
sent
intentionally.
sent you a photo of something
That
then
you were doing.
and then you saw it.
And then you let it slip.
But before we get there, what is your movie?
So, okay, my main movie would be my favorite movie of all time, and it doesn't seem like much, but
If it's like Pearl Harbor or
No.
something. Italy.
No,
Titan AE.
a 2000 film, fantastic movie, being Titan AE. I would heavily suggest this be watched. It is pretty much following a person who lived on what was Earth as a kid, but obviously with advanced technology, they have to then leave this planet that they're living on. It's catching up slowly. Bree's cover of Black Sheep is on Spotify and is still the best.
Yes, so Metric did the song Black Sheep, and Brie Larson covered it for the movie with her band, the fictional band Clash of Demon Head, and it was amazing. But yes, Titan AE, have you watched it recently?
I have.
And does it still...
And it still gives me the same goddamn
hold
brain
up?
goo. It's
Really?
for me personally. I watched this as it's a 2000 movies. I watched this when I was very young. I had this on VHS.
Yeah,
That is how old I had when I watched this for the first time.
when
It was
I watched it
VHS.
for the first time, it was also
Yeah.
a VHS that I borrowed from
VHS
someone.
on a fucking CRT
A
TV,
yeah.
so much that you'd have to lean it against your body to move it, and it was big.
If it fell on you,
You would die. You would, yeah.
There was
It
no
is-
surviving it.
Yeah, it is the moment that if you want to adjust, your father wants to adjust the TV, he calls the two sons over, please can you one lift one side, one lift the other. That's how heavy those fucking things were. So this is that old. But again, the animation that was done in this, well, the animation of the movie itself, doesn't live up to the hype of a lot of the previous Disney stuff that came out early
Is
on.
it a Disney movie?
No, I think this was a DreamWorks capture, actually.
No, it won't be. DreamWorks, yeah.
Yeah, I think this might have been a DreamWorks.
Let's see. Is there any comment? Oh, it's Fox Animations.
Fox. Well,
It's
did.
now Disney.
Well, don't know what they're gonna do with it, but I just it was fantastic to watch a progression of world going to shit, now going into sci-fi life where they live on a day-to-day basis with aliens and stuff like that, and they can live in a community. I mean, he lives as probably what would be seen as the lowest level of lifestyle, working, cutting rocks and shit, and then ends up joining this mass, well, not mass, this group of,
terrorists.
in essence, terrorists, because they're trying to find this item that only he is the key to create a whole new world for them to live on that was pretty much like their previous one that his father built, but they're trying to destroy it. Well, the one man is trying to destroy it. The other ones were kind of led by mistake. And I often make a reference when I go, bullseye. That is in reference to this movie. At one scene, he's sitting in a cafeteria and he got food from this little bug. It looks like a cockroach, a massive cockroach. And he's feeding him slop. And he puts on a tray. It looks like a prison slop tray scene type of thing. And he sits down and he's eating. And these, what seem to be like a vicious alien race made out of pure energy come and start attacking. And those seem at the beginning to be like the main villains. End up sort of being, but yes, but not really type of thing. But they come in and trying to raid this place, trying to find this key to the map to try and find it and also destroy it in the same process. And they shoot this poor cockroach when they, the main characters are leaving. They shoot the cockroach, and as he blows up, he goes, bullseye. It was fantastic. I don't know why, I loved it. For some reason,
it's
stuck
stuff like
to
that
me.
that just sticks in your brain and goes with you to the grave.
Yeah, and it's not some kid's story type of animation. Fox had no care whether you were a child watching it or not. I mean, there's blood in it. There's bullets flying. I mean, there's no swearing and stuff like that. They did try and keep away from that, but it's not really cartoon where it's like, oh, you're bleeding, but I'm not going to show the camera type of thing.
Yeah.
He cuts himself and he's bleeding profusely and he ties it off with a bandage type of thing. So, or he gets shot. And grazes his arm. But yeah, fantastic movie in my opinion. If you haven't watched it, I would definitely suggest it. Keep in mind, it is a 2000 early animation. It is made in 2000.
You can see the two spaceships in the back of the
Yes,
poster there.
you can see the very two spaceships. The one being the enemy spaceship made out of pure energy, and the other one, the golden one, being the planet Maker, if you'd call it that.
I've not watched this movie.
It's actually it's called Titan AE. That is the name of the ship. But no, I would definitely suggest it.
It's probably been about 15 years since I've last seen that movie.
Yeah, same. It's been a while now. I watched it. Actually, I didn't watch it too long. I think about 2-3 years ago. I watched it again just because I needed to, and I was also explaining to my wife my favorite movie, because this has been my favorite movie of all time. And I don't know why, but a 2000 made animation movie can be your favorite movie. It must stem from a lot of it was a big change. So yeah, I had this on
Early
VHS.
love.
Yeah, early love. So I had this on VHS and I watched it constantly. So yes, definitely 100%. Go watch Titan AE. We both have watched it. We both do agree.
I've not watched it in years, but
From what you remember.
From what I remember, it was a fun, like, I mean, it's stuff like this that got me into sci-fi and fantasy when I was young.
Pretty much, I think, same for me. So, yes, definitely Titan AE. So, do you have a runner-up movie?
No, I don't.
I'll move on to mine if you want to give some
Yeah,
time to think
yeah.
about it. So, my other one is another animation. But
Is it going to be Osmosis Jones? Because that's sort of the same.
so close.
So
So close. Osmosis Jones is both animated and live action, if you want to put it that way. But
And it's
both,
got Bill Murray in it?
yes, and it's fucking amazing. It is just pure amazing. Go watch Osmosis Jones if you haven't. Please, definitely go watch that. But close your eyes. I want you to. We are
Of
referring
course.
to
Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet. Yes.
So Disney's
yes.
Titan AE.
Disney's Titan AE, but on a different aspect. Again, young man on a live down in the dumps type of thing. Has the only one that has the maps to get to this place of glory, this place of changing life. Again, I think it stems from this whole not being the normal lifestyle type of thing, taking you out of your normal day-to-day life and pushing you on a great adventure that changes the rest of your life forever.
I remember playing the Treasure Planet PS1 game.
That was amazing.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But definitely, I know pretty much anyone who hasn't watched this in chat, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Like I feel like they issued this to everyone with a VHS player.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
like,
much.
Here's your copy.
But this is again an early yes, Treasure Planet, yes, Talora, thank you very much, agree. Treasure Planet again, it was an early release. I think this was a DreamWorks.
This as far as I know is Disney.
Where
Let's
again
see.
Walt Disney, yes, yeah. Walt Disney feature again, but this was an early. When was this released? This was released in 2002.
Wrong one.
No, initial release.
That one. There we go.
Oh, what did I check? Well, whoops. No, so I wanted to go back here. This is a 2002 release. Again, early animation, but this is where Disney pretty much hit the world with I have the biggest dick in animation. And Treasure Planet and a lot of their other animations released around this time were so far ahead of the curve that any other animation company out there that tried to release couldn't keep up with how great it was.
Yeah.
I mean, with Titan AE, you can see a bit of loose connection between some of the actions, which is minor faults made by the animators themselves. But Treasure Planet was, in my personal opinion, that's what we do, flawless. Personally, I would definitely say Treasure Planet. Do you mind opening the door? But dog's losing her shit.
Okay.
So.
I don't have a Renara. You know that. I've been like listening to you. I do not have anything.
None that you can think from your VHS tape days.
I mean, it would be cool to re-experience Rocky Horror again.
That would be amazing.
Because again, I think I watched Rocky Horror for the first time when I was a little too young.
I was definitely too young. My father was a massive rock fan, but strange rock. You know, some things that were considered metal on the
stuff
loose
like
term.
the late 70s, early 80s when rock started.
Definitely yes.
Like and very Pink Floyd-y kind of
stuff. Pink Floyd, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses.
When middle of the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, pretty much. Megadeth, all of that. My dad was a massive fan, still is a massive fan to this day. He can listen to a song, he can riddle off the name of the band members, he can riddle off a lot of shit. And that's pretty much how my childhood was. And especially stemming from things like that, then pushes me to a lot of the shit that I do now. I mean, one thing that both Titan AE and Treasure Planet have in it is this amazing music, things that you would never think of, but in the moment are perfectly timed so that you feel the same emotion as what the character is going with in that situation. So being early 2000 movies, they had massive steps compared to even the live action situations at the time. The colors were a lot better than a lot of the live actions towards the 2000s. Especially still being able to run on the same plane of aspect as VHS. Yeah. So, for me, those two, 100% done and dusted.
I'm trying, but no. Let's move on.
We will have a discussion at the end to see if you remember anything, but we will move on to our third out of two topics. I don't know why it keeps going to the end of the conversation. This one I found really intriguing for what yours would be, and I really want to get into this of what yours would be. So our next topic is if you could re-experience a game for the very first time.
So this one did give me a lot of pause, and I had to like really think about it, and I think mine is gonna be Hollow Knight.
That is actually quite a good decision. Oh shit.
Because I mean, Hollow Knight
is. You now might have a second runner-up that's very good at that too.
I know exactly what that is. But I love Dark Souls, all the Soulsborne games. I have for many years, and Hollow Knight just did it for me. Do you go, top one?
Excuse my spelling, chat.
It just like I played it on PS4. I played it on Switch, and I'm replaying it on PC, now again.
yes. You are the reason I bought this game. You are the reason I downloaded this game, and you're also the reason why I played this fucking game.
It's excellent. It's just
I do agree.
it's good. It tells its story in the same way that that Dark Souls and the games do, where the story isn't just being handed to you.
You
it's
have to
something-
run around.
Yeah.
So making a reference to a Ready Player One reference, being Adventure, the first game to ever have an Easter egg. You have to run around blindly in a maze
Yeah.
to eventually find something that you didn't know would ever be there. Pretty much how Dark Souls and
Yeah.
Hollow Knight work, where you
You have
don't
to-
think you've done something right, so you run around the map to somewhere else. You're like, oh fuck, this is how I fix what I started with.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then you're on a whole new path at that point.
Exactly, and that I love that, where you're experiencing the world with fresh eyes consistently.
Yes.
There's nothing is being given to you.
Yeah, especially being a side-scroller platformer game.
And I mean, it's got a severe difficulty curve. So for people watching this, it isn't for everyone because it is a difficult game.
No, again, so if you're thinking back to your Street Fighter or your
Or any game,
Any-
any modern game.
well, no, if you're thinking back to anything that kind of made it a bit difficult in terms of a side-scroller platformer.
Like your original Castlevanias, and because this is a
Yeah.
Metroidvania, so
So
Castlevania and Metroid and the games of the like, it doesn't it doesn't ever hold your hand.
yeah, you are pretty much left alone to your own devices, and whether you progress or not, the game doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. If you fail 100 times, it's not like the game's gonna do what a lot of modern games do, which is decrease the difficulty. So
Yeah,
that you can
which
continue.
is in the code, but no one actually knows about.
Yeah,
It does do that where you finally realize like, oh, I've done this 100 times. Why is this the one time it changes? The game knows.
yeah, the game helps, but I like the fact that it doesn't do any hand holding. Again, I also play a lot of roguelikes where you have to, no amount of you researching
It's going to help you.
It's
I
gonna
mean,
help
you could learn, okay, this weapon might be good, but it's depending on how you use the weapon. It's all
Yeah.
based on user input. It's
On
not based
your
on,
skill.
yeah, it's based on whether you are good or not and whether you succeed or not. The game doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Again, there's no helping you whatsoever. You struggle, you fix it.
Yeah, you sort yourself out.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work to experience the game, and Hollow Knight is excellent.
So I know, I think we're both on the same line of page for the runner-up,
The runner-up, yeah.
being
Well, actually, my runner-up is I know what my runner-up would be, but I'm curious to find out your.
Well, I can definitely say that the main runner-up we are sort of thinking of would be Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Ori and the Blind Forest made me cry baby tears.
It did. So I watched
Well, then again, Hollow Knight did as well.
well, I mean, especially to do that with Zero speaking
Yes.
is fantastic. I know for a fact I was like drained emotionally after playing
The first
Ori and
one.
the Blind Forest.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch this mother take this random orphan creature in.
Mother or father, we don't actually know.
Well, this figure,
yeah.
parental. What is that? Glucose guardian. Take this thing, this creature in, and look after them, and eventually pass away in the process of looking after them.
Do you think they're dead? Remember, the forest dies, or the forest is dying, and then you still save them. Again, sorry, spoilers.
Spoilers.
But right at the end, you still save them, and then they're around for the.
If you have depth perception issues like Talora, it's almost impossible to appreciate it.
2D games.
2D side scrollers should be easier
I figured, yeah, I didn't know
because
that
it's left and
that's-
right. But I think looking at Dark Souls, definitely you
that's-
cannot appreciate
yeah.
Dark Souls with depth
There's
depth perception. But 2D side scrollers should be a lot easier. Nothing changes in terms of size. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
But
Everything's
again,
flat.
difficulty is
Yeah.
never going to change. But yes, thank you for the
But
comments.
we'll see what Tora says about the depth perception on 2D like side scrollers.
Yeah, if you're referring to 2D side scrollers itself, might have to explain a bit on that one. But for what we understand for depth perception, it could be different for her.
Yeah.
3D games would definitely be a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my main one, and I go on this because I love mythology.
Is the age of mythology?
No, I love. No,
Oh, I know exactly
I love
what it is.
mythology in terms of Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology. I love it. No matter the type, I love the fact of proving that there are millions of religions out there and millions of beliefs, millions of gods. Whether who's is correct on it's again up to whoever believes in it to decide. But for me, it is God of War. The original trilogy plus the Norse
PS4.
mythology PS4 rendition, which continued pretty much. It does
It
100%
does.
continue
Yeah.
with the original Kratos story, except for the fact that they need to now remove the word boy from everyone's vocabulary and dictionary and memory, because that is said way too fucking much.
Oh,
What?
thanks for spoiling the game for me as well.
What?
You spoiled the end of God of War for me.
I did.
You did.
Oh, and I told you about
Yeah.
Atreus. Hey. And I told you about Atreus.
Yes.
Yes. So, any of the spoilers out there, Atreus is Loki. There you have it. Moving on.
Yeah, because I'm busy playing it. We had just moved into our house and I was testing the PS4 to make sure that everything worked. And I was like, oh yeah, Andreas, he's Loki, right? I was like, what?
Yeah, so, okay, big spoilers, but following Kratos being I mean, with Hollow Knight, in giving a particular story is a bit difficult. So Hollow Knight specifically, my eyes are used to over adjusting, so 2D games give her a headache.
Okay.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay. Granted, that would be a problem. Thank you for explaining. But yeah, so God of War following a war hero,
Yeah.
Kratos being a Spartan war hero, being given powers by the God of War himself at the time to take over his foes, but then at the same time becoming his bitch in
Yeah.
essence. And eventually his wife and daughter get killed. He gets very upset because
Isn't he the one that kills them?
yes,
Yeah.
that's because of the rage that is put into him by this god.
Was
He
it
ends
the
up killing
Roman
him.
or was it the
Spartan.
no the gods?
No,
Was
it's
it
Greek.
the Greek.
Greek. It's Greek mythology, being Zeus.
Okay, so it's
Poseidon, all of
Ares
them.
that gives him his.
Ares gives him the powers, being the Spartan rage that we do see. The Spartan rage, he ends up going into massive rage and killing millions of people, a whole bunch of people, including his own daughter and wife. He then gets upset and goes on a vendetta to kill
Everyone.
the.
No,
Pretty
no,
well,
no, you, don't,
eventually-
you can't say to kill the gods.
No, so
he wants to kill
initially-
everyone.
Initially, it was just to kill the god of war himself, to unbind him from his contract. However, as gods do, if you're able to fuck with one of them or touch any of their taints, they all get ticklish and need to then stop you.
Yeah.
So you eventually go on a massive god killing spree for
And-
4 series. Well, no, a lot more than 4 actually. There was a PSP version.
No, that was the fourth one. So just in the
I'm just talking about the 3 itself,
Yeah,
stemming from
but
outside of the
there's-
PSP version.
okay, because if you're looking at the Greek thing, there's 4 games.
Yeah, no, so it's stemming outside of the PSP. I played it on PSP, I did not appreciate it on
Not-
PSP.
Not a good game.
Don't play that. But God of War 1, God of War 2, and God of War 3, fantastic. Yes, graphics might be horrible nowadays. I loved it. It was fantastic.
No,
It was,
and I think that they do need the same treatment that Spyro and Crash have got.
yeah, I think giving them a revamp and giving them a new release would be fantastic. A lot of people, especially those who love the franchise, will not only go buy it, but play through from beginning, following to God of War,
Yeah.
the new God of War.
Because
And,
there's another one's been released.
another one will be it has been announced and it will be releasing hopefully I think next year.
But it's, but
don't
we
hold me
own-
to that.
We don't own PS5s.
Yeah, well, we're not those kind of people yet, but maybe one day. But I love especially the connection between the Norse, the Greek mythology moving into the Norse mythology.
Yeah, and
How-
it does get explained.
Yeah, and it gets perfectly explained, but again, the growth of a character
Yeah.
works fantastically. I mean, we spoke a lot about this in our previous podcasts that we've had, that one thing we experience that we appreciate the most is character growth
Yeah.
in situations, and I think this is a game that has heavy
Mm.
on character growth, not only on Kratos himself, but eventually it does stem down to Atreus.
Look, there isn't a
as
lot of
well.
character growth throughout the first 3 games because that's
No,
Kratos
it's pretty-
just like
No, it is smack the shit out of anything you see and before.
murdering across the heavens.
It is the non-D&D motor hover.
And I like the fact that they slowed the gameplay down a lot for God of War. The
Yeah,
PS4
especially
God of
being
War.
the open world aspect
Hmm.
and allowing you can go into a land, fuck up some creatures that there, but then they're not main story based. I mean,
Yeah,
that does slow down, especially if you're
but
looking
also
at.
Kratos is an old man now.
Yeah, I mean he's no, say old man. He's still the god of war.
Oh, no, he
so
is, but
he's still
he's
a god.
He's
But
old.
yeah, he no longer has. He doesn't pack as much of a punch as he did back in the beating up Zeus days, but that's by choice of him.
But then
Moving on.
what's his name? Gargamel, Gimli, Gishmiller. What?
Gargamel, yes.
Oh, what's the guy's name? The god that he kicks the shit out right at the beginning of the game.
Well, we can continue with that, but also, especially speaking about character growth, giving that slow progression also shows that he's aged.
Yeah,
It is now no longer him just fighting through shit to get to a certain point.
and it makes you feel the movements of the game a lot more. So instead of you just being like, okay, I need to kill all the guys here and then do a little puzzle.
Yeah,
And then kill a bunch of guys here and then do a puzzle. It interweaves very nicely in the
ooh,
landscape.
that makes me not so happy.
But family.
No,
Um,
definitely not. Okay, we're still on the same. This doesn't give me any answers. So Jormungandr, Balder. Balder
yes.
and so Mimir is the head that they carry around.
Yes.
Balder is
The god.
and the brother of Thor,
Yes, and
which
he,
never gets explained in a lot of.
but Balder still gets the shit kicked out of him.
Well, yes, he gets the shit kicked out of him, and again, his Achilles heel is a little green arrow. So, again, massive spoilers. Those who haven't played it, go play it. The guy comes for no reason because he senses the power of a god, decides to fuck with Kratos. Kratos kills
Fights
him,
back.
but he finds out he's immortal to a massive degree.
Yeah.
And his mother put a curse on him, which he was upset about at first, but now seems to not give a fuck. Eventually gets stabbed with this green arrow, and becomes mortal again, and then proceeds to get the shit beat out of him, still being godlike in terms of his strength and so forth. But
His strength and endurance is still that of a god, but
it
so is Kratos.
yeah, and also that's a character progression no one really looked at. He appreciated the shit being beaten out of him because he finally felt pain for the first time.
Yeah, and
he
there's somebody
didn't die.
there's somebody who can measure to his level.
Exactly. So God versus God, one feels pain, still heals a bit quick, but still feels the pain, and another one who didn't. Now they're both on the same level, but the one's now got Spartan range, and he gets his fucking
The
Chaos Blades
Chaos
back.
Blades, yeah.
So I thought it was fantastic.
No, God of War
Especially-
was
yeah.
was an excellent game. Again, it also feels like a Dark Souls.
It definitely does. It's
You can't run into a room and just start swinging.
no, it is the situation of you've done all the side quests first, and
Yeah.
then you go meet the first boss.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen some of the hidden bosses from God of War, like
Being the Valkyries.
The Valkyries.
The Valkyries are fucking insane. I think I
it's-
defeated
it's-
3 before I gave up.
Yeah, that's 3, and then you get to the last one who's got all of the. And,
Yeah.
And I mean that Valkyrie was, has been put on so many internet lists that I watch, saying that it's one of the hardest bosses in video
Yes.
games. But I think
Valkyries in general, especially with like the abilities. I mean, we know who Valkyries are. Valkyries were the original army of
and they went and they picked up the dead.
of Odin's little say little.
It
It was fucking massive.
It was an entire plane.
Yeah. So they were the original, or the main leaders of the armies. Let's put it that way. So they weren't people to just trifle and fuck about with.
Yeah.
They would definitely kick your shit in.
Yeah.
So, but yes. So from us, definitely Hollow Knight, God of War, going into also Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Wisps.
Yeah, those are good games.
Those two still give me the rolls and the heebie-jeebies.
My runner-up game is, I don't know if you've heard of this one. I don't know if Chat's heard of this one, but it's called Firewatch.
I know Firewatch.
Dude, so Steph and I weren't living together. We had only been together about a year when I first played this game. 10 minutes in, our phone hurt in tears because the game. It hurts you. It hurts you in a way that you don't see coming.
It is simplistic in its design. First thing.
It's a beautiful game as well, and it runs you through so many emotions. Like
it is so. This is a game where it's a story-based game. It has suspense. It's a thriller.
Yeah.
But there is no actual action.
No, there's no fighting or anything like that. It is a walking simulator.
Yeah.
But the sense of unease that you have throughout the entire game, I mean, it had me on edge constantly because I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, you cannot expect, like, what you expect to happen doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, him especially walking and talking on the walkie-talkie to this lady.
But I mean, the first, say, 10 minutes of the game, when you run through the scenario of how he gets to the Firewatch with his wife, like, getting dementia and dying. I mean, that my grandfather had dementia, and that
hit a lot more closer to home.
It hit it really close to home, and I just thought that they dealt with emotions in such a nuanced manner that it feels purpose-led to hurt you, to make you feel things.
Yeah, so I didn't have the same connection to God of War. My dad was definitely not the previous God of War, so I have no connection like that. But I do get that this game pulls emotion out of you, whether you want to or not. So
and
I would say take heed if you are an emotional person. However, I would suggest it. It is a beautiful looking game.
It is. Walking through, I think it's Yellowstone.
Yeah,
that it's
Yellowstone National Park.
And like walking through the trails as you're going from point A to point B, and you get to look around. It's just the art style. It's again simplistic, and it holds no candle to what we're able to see in games today. But it just looks so pretty.
I mean, from my personal view of it, I think it stands up well enough on its own. It could still be released today, and many people will pay for it and play it because of it's you're walking around as a character, but you don't have to necessarily. It's not forced progression.
No.
So you can stand still, and they continue with conversation and appreciate the surroundings, and so it's not which is one thing I do love about it. Also another game that I'll talk about. It's the same idea, but it's not forced progression.
Yeah.
You can pretty much run around and do whatever you want, but for a personal aspect, you want to progress, but at a normal pace.
Yeah, you want to see and I mean, it took me a few hours. It's not a particularly long game. It's like, I think at most it'll take you 2-3 hours to get from beginning to end. And I loved it.
Yeah, so definitely in chat, if you have any of your own games, we didn't say this earlier, but also your movies and books, any ones that you suggest that you would like us to speak out and see if we might have some knowledge about. Definitely, we love going a bit back towards some of the shit we have read, watched, and played. So definitely leave them in comments. We love reading your comments. The other one that follows along the same line as Firewatch would be, for me, is Journey. Now, I said I wouldn't put this in my top for the reason that it took me an hour. Okay, so
obviously.
We'll talk about that comment in a second. But Journey took me an hour to finish. It is not a long game at all.
But it is built to do that.
Yeah. But it's again exactly like Firewatch, where you get points from a point A to point B. It's just suspense. There's no real fighting involved. There's a lot of thriller based in it. Very beautiful game. Again, very simplistic in its design, its make, and its user interface and what you can do, but still a very, very gorgeous game. And I've been wanting to play that game for years. Finally got it, played it in like an hour, and I was still happy. I was happy I played it.
Is there a lot of replayability for it?
There is. So I mean, if you're looking from achievements, there are achievements that you can do. Especially one of the achievements is going back to the beginning and restarting it, which I think is amazing, to just throw a random achievement for someone to just replay the game. There is replayability, especially because at some point there is an online basis of it, where another person playing the game will end up just randomly being in the same place you're doing the same thing. And this other person did that and ended up fucking me over, and I was really pissed. So part of me really wanted to replay it, so that, because I mean, I got to one point and I hadn't been damaged in any manner. And when you eventually die or take damage, this cape that follows you, that pretty much is your flight power, reduces. Now I had this long fucking massive cape, and I was only like halfway, and this fucker got involved. I ended up dying. I lost all of my shit. I was so pissed, but I still loved the game and I wanted to redo it. So the other player online, fuck you. But you have not changed my opinion of the game. So definitely. And with the comment being The Forest, we accidentally finished it within 12 hours.
But it was 12 straight hours.
Yeah, 12 straight hours of playing. Anyone from work watching, we don't need to ask when that happened. No, so 12 straight hours of playing. It was a fantastic game. I mean, we learned a lot about the lore. We've now massively engrossed in it.
I mean, we
to
finished it 3 times now.
Yeah, we finished it 3 times. We ran through, and it was about 12 hours actually each time that we played, except for the last one. We did take a bit more time, so we
but
could look at
that's
a bit more
because
things.
we tried to do a completionist run of it.
Yeah, but again, doesn't really matter. The Forest, especially if you have online capabilities with your friends, it is one thing we do recommend.
Well, and as per Steph trying to play it on her own, it's not a good game to try and play on your own.
No, it's also not as fun if you don't have your friend going, what the fuck is that? I did it. I had neighbors at the time. They did not appreciate it.
And the neighbors that weren't us.
No, they weren't there. My previous place that we lived at. No, the neighbors didn't care, but that was not a noise you want to be hearing at about 10 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, and we're never going to leave you alone about that.
No, so I still get made fun of about that too today, but it is something I appreciate. I mean, we were trying to do something in the game. We were trying to find a specific item, and we ended up finishing the game.
Yeah. We're like, okay, what's down this? Okay, guys, maybe we should turn around.
No, the thing that we need is just a head, and okay, we go there and we're like, okay, but no, there's another path here. Where does this lead? Maybe it goes back to the surface. I'm a bit lost. Yeah, it was.
I mean, it told a story without holding your hand. You had to go and find the story yourself. And
definitely didn't hold your hand, throwing cannibals and fucking mutants at you that beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm very keen on the next one.
That was fucking creepy.
That was terrifying.
Thank God my dog was there. The door randomly opened and we didn't see shit until my dog walked in. Thank you, Carter. One part about it, I'm gonna haunt you guys with it too every single part of the day. Stick opportunity.
Oh God, no.
One part about the game, you need to get sticks, and at one point I'm just like, yo, bro, the stick opportunities. And I went stick opportunities. But yes, definitely agree with either Steph or my wife or whoever the fuck's typing. Yes, The Forest, another one, definitely play.
And very keen on Sons.
Yes, and now we are impatiently waiting for Sons of the Forest, which is supposed to be released at the beginning of this year.
No, they didn't say beginning of this year. They just said it's 2021. And now
I'm probably next year.
I'm assuming that we're gonna get late in the year. They're gonna be like 2021.
No, I'm leaning more towards between March and May next year. The release will come.
Let's hope. I just want the game. I've watched all the trailers for it multiple times.
Not even just the trailer. Watching the end credit scene of The Forest itself leaves you in wanting.
fight demons.
Yeah. So definitely, again, another game you guys should play, being the forest. However, we have held off long enough to now go on to our last topic for the evening, and I know this is something you really want to talk about.
Yes.
So we'll move on to our last topic being series. So, Connor, if you'd like to type in the
You know
series.
exactly what it is, and it is.
So I'll explain how this was short-lived for Connor. So the way we discuss this is we're not going to talk to each other beforehand. We're rather just going to open image and news app. Yeah. So we discussed that we are not going to discuss these topics. We're rather going to do it live on the podcast. However, he had let go, so we had been speaking about what we were doing the one day, and he said he was watching this. And then I think it was the night before last, we were sitting in the lounge having tea.
And speaking
and
about.
we were speaking to our better halves about what they would do, and Connor said obviously his would be the one he's been watching recently, or rewatching. Again, for like, what, the 40th time?
It's the second time this year.
Yeah, so he kind of let slip that Silicon Valley was his series.
It's amazing. I mean, but again, it's not for everyone. I'm a developer. I'm a web developer, and I appreciate the humor in the show.
So, for those who don't know, what is Silicon Valley?
So, Silicon Valley is a show about a startup, of a group of guys who make a startup in the titular Silicon Valley in California, which is the home of companies like Facebook and Google, and as you can see along there's Twitter, Google, Blogger, Facebook, Yahoo, Oracle, HP, and then some of the Hulu, which is a fictional company, which is one of the major parts in the show, and it's all centered around the developer culture and starting companies in Silicon Valley or in the tech world. And as somebody who is deeply ingrained in that world, I really appreciate the humor and the portrayal of characters and how things work in that world, because it is mind-bogglingly different from business anywhere else.
So I think one thing that leads me on the same train of thought is when I was studying, well, when we were both studying in college, some of the references that have been made in Big Bang Theory became a lot more clear when you had been involved in somewhat of
in a STEM field.
Yeah, in a STEM field, so being a development, or at one point it was actually biology that I caught on to, because I remember a lot of the genetic stuff from high school. So I can't really relate at the moment to Silicon Valley because I was going to start coding soon. And I disrespectfully wanted to beat the shit out of my PC, but must be, user error.
ID10T?
Yeah, ID10T, yes, definitely. I do not want to talk about that. It wrenches me, and anyway, but no, definitely. We both studied coding in college. You now working on the Java and Hyperion side of.
But I actually left
web
it all
dev.
behind because I don't like that. I am a web developer now.
And with me studying my C#, my application development, I really appreciate it. I love the aspect. I love the concept. Never really getting too far. Well, far enough, but I understand quite a bit. So I mean, I think it might be something I could get into.
Yeah, and
Definitely 10 out of 10 would suggest.
I would suggest, but again, I don't suggest it for everybody. It's it is made for, or a lot of the references are made for developers. And I mean, the guys who wrote and produced the show, they had friends in Silicon Valley who they would often call up and say, in this situation, how would a VC or a CEO or a developer react, and what would be their next steps, and what would their opinions about this situation be? And I appreciated the fact that they didn't do the Big Bang Theory thing, which is, oh, they're nerds, it's fun.
Yes.
They, granted, these guys are not well adjusted to society, and they still, they're like, okay, so these are real people. They are not the sum of their
equals.
No, their stereotypes.
Yeah. Okay.
They are actual people.
So not the Revenge of the Nerd style nerd people.
No, not at all.
No
They
pocket
are-
protector individuals.
No, but they are awkward, strange, you know, unaccustomed to life, to normal life, and a lot of the jokes are like, I was speaking to Steph about it, and Steph being my wife, or anybody who isn't part of our friend group.
Oh no, shocker! Thank you, Keegan. I got it before you did.
And like I was explaining some of the jokes to her because it's stuff that is incredibly funny if you understand it, and I think that does bar entry. Though if you do, you can go and research, and the jokes are just on point.
Not even that. I think if you're looking out for a new series.
Yeah, and it's HBO. It's excellently written. It's excellently directed.
We don't talk about HBO. Fucking what's it?
Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones is also HBO, but we don't
So
talk
is
about that shit.
Westworld.
Moving on.
But look, they've got the money behind it. They've got brilliant talent, Thomas Middleditch and Kumail Nanjiani as two of the main people. Kumail Nanjiani being in the Eternals next
Well,
year.
okay, yes.
It's just all around excellent. But yeah, that was my spiel about Silicon Valley. You should watch it if you want to. I'm not gonna say go out and watch it, but if you are feeling for a smarter comedy, I do highly recommend Silicon Valley.
Also, if you don't get the jokes, we're not saying you're stupid.
It's
We're just saying you need to be there.
yeah.
Be a part of it. You know, be in the know.
And
So I had extreme difficulties
yeah, I
with
remember
series.
you having.
If I go to my actual list, you'll see it's not filled in. Reason being is, I've enjoyed a lot of series that were made that not many people know about, but unfortunately, no, not on that level. On the fact that 1 or 2 seasons were made and then it was completely taken down afterwards. But the aspect of the series, I mean, the idea behind it, everything they ran into, the series was made fantastically. I think they might have just run out of budget or, financing to produce some more, or they were just told to stop at some point. But a lot of those, I feel, if given their run, they would have made big changes. Stepping aside, one I would suggest, I don't really have a top, but I guess I have 2 that I would mention.
Yeah.
One being everyone knows about Lucifer.
Yes, and
Not-
Lucifer did get a second chance.
Yeah, Lucifer got a second, and look how far it's made it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made it to its season 5
6, isn't
B.
6?
Well, it's 5B, 5A, and then
And
6
5B.
is guaranteed.
Okay, yeah. So,
Yeah. So,
no, that's the thing is that much like Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Yeah.
it was cancelled, and then another studio came along and said, "Nah, there's potential here. We
Yeah.
wanna."
so
see what it can
Netflix dipped into Lucifer's pool. I mean, you're stemming from a religious aspect in a crime comedy.
But my favorite thing about Lucifer is that that's not the biblical Lucifer.
No,
it's the
it is-
Sandman.
yeah,
Lucifer.
it
It's
is-
Neil
yeah.
Gaiman's
Which-
character.
Which, funny enough, still somehow played a part in the DC. I think it was the Arrow universe. They had a interaction with Constantine, going to Lucifer at Lux, and asking for a favor to speak to someone within hell. But again, you would have to then watch those. I don't suggest the rest of them. I do suggest Lucifer,
Yeah.
though. I personally think it is very awesome,
Mm.
especially for those who know a lot about mythology, being
The biblical
biblical
side of it.
There is a lot of questions. There are a lot of statements. There are a lot of. I mean, you see a lot from a different aspect of
Yeah.
what a lot of people throw at you in terms of religion. So seeing not from Lucifer's side, but from a side that is never really spoken about.
Yeah, it's the argument, the sympathy for the devil argument. Like, he's been given this place.
He's been told to look after something, and
He's been forced into this position, and
Yeah.
does he want that? And over time, again, this is irrespective of whether you believe in it or not. It's a great thought experiment. It's, should we sympathize with what is viewed as the worst of people? And
yeah,
they
and
handle
is
that
the
well.
worst of people really bad, or is it because everyone makes it out
Yeah.
to be bad? I mean, you see him helping solve crimes. Yeah, he does it in his own beautiful voiced way. I love the actor.
Yelling,
He's fantastic.
Tom Ellis,
Yeah,
yelling
Tom
detective.
Ellis. Detective! I just think it's fantastic. My wife often makes me just randomly shout that out. So not during certain, maybe sometimes during certain things. Stems aside, but I do want to talk about one that I appreciated for its idea, and I don't know how many people know about this. So, Deception series follows a magician. Oh, that's definitely not
Not
I
what
meant
you
to
wanted
think.
to do.
Deception follows a similar lines of Lucifer helping, the police get their man type of thing. But this individual specifically was a magician himself, using tricks of the eye with his twin brother, which the world didn't know about that he had, using him to be able to do I'm in two places of one magic. Twin brother looks identical, but obviously something bad happens. His brother actually gets sent to prison, because then he eventually comes to tell the world, yes, I have a twin brother. He's the one that helps me with my magic tricks. And then a whole bunch of stuff happens in terms of breaking the law and so forth. But then he, from his mind, shows the deception behind these tricks, that they didn't blow up a plane. So the very first episode is they blow. You see these people break in, and you think they destroy this entire plane with people on it. Not a massive plane, or a private plane. Where he actually shows you that those people were kidnapped with the plane because they managed to pull down the wall of the airplane hangar, pull the plane out, replace it with a replica burnt version, and put the wall back up without anyone knowing.
So it's very Now You See Me.
Very much Now You See Me, but I feel if it had been given its chance, would outrun Now You See Me, no matter what. Say what you want, but Chuck.
Chuck was excellent.
Yes, Chuck was excellent. Not only that, the main character of Chuck,
Exactly.
Levi, moving into his fantastically put role of Shazam. Love the actor, love the series. There were a few series also that we watched when I was younger. There was one where a man has to catch demons or something with this special tool. I can't remember the name of it.
Wasn't that Reaper or something?
Yeah,
like
Reaper
that?
or some shit like that. And the other one was Psych.
That's what I was gonna say. Is this sounds a lot like Sark.
Yeah,
where
so
it's somebody who has mystical powers, but they're actually just a con man.
yeah, no. Well, Psych himself is believed to actually have abilities. I mean, he shows it within the series, whereas he explains full on he has no powers. There's no such thing as magic. It is literally deceiving the eye. Yes, Reaper. Thank you. Yeah, Reaper definitely one of them. For comedy, Reaper was fantastic. It was the best. Yes, definitely agree. The comedic side of it was fantastic, but for this, I wish they had gone further. They had left you on a massive.
That's always the best when it's a massive.
But it was a one season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's my favorite when they leave you on a cliffhanger
and then stop the fucking series. So my problem. So this was released in March 2018. March to May 2018. That's how long, and it was a one season. And I thought that, and the actors placed in it were fantastic. I mean, everyone from the cops to the magicians to the villains and all of that, fantastically puts the brother, the aspect behind the illusions that they give, were perfect. And I can't. I think I'd read at one point that they stopped filming due to financials. So not really cancelled, but maybe financial. So I mean, if anyone eventually sees
financial, as in the studio wanted to stop giving them money.
Yeah, pretty much. Or I just hope that if anyone ever sees this, please give Deception another look. I know it would be something that would be up along Lucifer. Honestly, my personal opinion.
I think it needs the right directing and writing team.
Well, no, I mean, if you watch the series, for you, I can't help with that. If you follow the series, if you've watched the series, the directing, everything like that, there was no problems. It was fantastically directed. As I say, the cast was fantastically chosen, and the scripting itself was perfect. So not having I mean, it was probably a major company that needed to get rid of its lower eggs so that they can help the bigger chickens grow.
Yeah.
I do feel like if they had given this another chance, or as they did with Lucifer, give them one more season.
Yeah.
This could have done a lot more.
But back then, that wasn't a thing that was done.
For back then, it was you either continue or they stop you straight away and
Yeah.
there's no continue after that.
Yeah.
So
and
if-
I mean, the shows like Supernatural got to go on.
We don't talk about Supernatural. We have very different opinions, but also very aligned opinions.
Yeah. Well, the first 5 seasons were awesome.
Well, I think a lot more than 5 up until the end of Michael, where Michael takes over Dean's body. By the way, spoilers.
Was that before or after Leviathans?
After, way after.
Well, when Sam killed Death, I stopped watching.
Yeah, way after that as well. So no, it's very far. But again, the same aspect, like certain things had, I think for those, especially in terms looking at Supernatural, it had a massive cult following. So ending it would have ended up in uproar a lot more than Deception. So
So Laura can confirm this, but Supernatural drove Tumblr for all of the
definitely.
the 10 years that I was
Yes.
on the site, however long
Definitely.
it was.
No, so yeah, my biggest one I think would be giving Deception. I mean, look, it's a 2018 series. It's not that old.
Yeah,
It's 3 years. So if someone is able, whoever is out there, just give this one another chance. You definitely have one fan. My wife. No, sorry, you have two. My wife also enjoyed this. We both watched, and we both loved it. So definitely my pick.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll put it out to chat. If you want to talk about any movies, series, books, or games that you appreciated outside of The Forest. Thank you, Steph. That you appreciate. I mean, we're more than happy to chat with you guys in chat and talk about certain projects. I mean, we're very, as you see, passionate about a lot of the stuff that we talk about. So I think from my side, that is all I had. I didn't have any runner-ups for this one.
No, I
Other
didn't.
than, I mean, there were 2, so
And either Super Who like Tumblr was definitely something. It was. It was an experience to be a part of Tumblr during its prime.
I regret you putting me on Tumblr.
I regret putting myself on Tumblr. I mean, it's the same thing that I have with Reddit. It's the
Again,
the
I
infinite,
regret you putting me on Reddit too.
it's the infinite thread. You can't
Yeah.
stop scrolling. It's the first thing I look at, aside from my wife, it's the first thing I look at in the morning.
Sure, I mean your wife's gone by the time you wake.
No,
I'm just
no,
kidding.
no.
I'm kidding.
I do.
So a lot of our stuff is partially affected by each other. I mean, certain things that we play or do, it's either by we suggest each other something, or
Yeah,
mostly
I mean,
you suggest to me.
I mean, majority of the games that we play together is one of the 5 of us sending a link and going, do it.
Yeah,
Do it.
pretty much like,
Download it.
okay, I'm gonna go dive in this deep hole of never-ending shit cycle.
And
Come
then
with me.
emerging and going like, look at this, look how cool this thing is. I need you to join me on this
Yeah.
thing. And then we all get involved and
Courtney would like to contribute Grey's Anatomy as her series. We are gonna remove that from the VOD.
yeah,
We are
cut.
just
because
cut
we don't
from-
need all
from
47 seasons of Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, so okay, I will put this. Grey's Anatomy in the beginning was awesome. Up until the main cast that you start with is gone.
Well, I mean,
I no longer appreciate it for the same fact, but my wife is obsessed.
I mean, I've watched all in all probably about 3 episodes of Grey's Anatomy, and that was during the LAN that we had, when the internet broke,
And the only thing
had
we could do was watch Grey's Anatomy with
was
my wife.
the 4 of us sitting on the couch watching Grey's Anatomy.
Because internet was bullshit, and setting up a physical LAN nowadays is horrendous. But we eventually did it.
Steph would like to contribute
Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
But that we are waiting for
Season-
Sparrow Academy.
Yes. So I've got my theories about that, because the way season 2 ends is the same way that the 3rd book ends.
We will have to leave that for a different discussion.
Just not doing Hotel
so
Oblivion.
so much to
What's
unpack.
happening? Yeah.
No, if there was a mute mic for him, we would.
No, Steph and I we burned through the 2 seasons, because I'd started watching it, and then Steph had seen me watching it, and she's like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to watch 2. And then we got onto it, and it took us, and granted we are working people, so we need sleep, so we don't just burn through series as we used to.
I'm horrendous with that.
Yeah, but also I'm studying, so.
Yeah.
We got through 2 seasons in like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
we did something. We sat in bed one day and we watched.
and you
through.
just didn't stop.
We just didn't stop.
Yeah.
And we are very, very excited for the 3rd season, which thankfully has been announced because Netflix does have a bad habit of just cancelling stuff.
Without announcing, they will say new season coming out soon, and then you wait for them. They're like, "Oh, sorry, we cancelled the."
No,
entire
they
show."
don't. They don't even tell you that they cancelled it. They're just like, "Oh, the show was doing really well, but we cancelled it."
But we needed money for the bigger shows. So
And
again, fuck the little chicken.
yeah.
So one last one that I would throw up would be Good Doctor. Stemming aside from Grey's Anatomy, Good Doctor following a autistic
Yeah.
individual who becomes a doctor and is actually pretty fantastic at doing so, but obviously facing autistic problems. I think they've done extremely well in it, and given a chance, it could extend past Grey's Anatomy, past current medical shows. I know, my wife would definitely agree. She loves The Good Doctor as well. She finds, especially with her love for autistic kids and working with children and stuff like that who have problems and difficulties, my wife definitely agrees that being able to get to a point of a doctor with something like autism is a massive feat. So she appreciates that aspect outside of just normal doctor shows or normal surgical or medical doctor shows.
Your ER and
Your Grey's Anatomy and all of the Chicago Med and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of shit that we recommend, you could also do yourself a favor and ignore us completely.
watch what you want to watch because
Again, we have opinions.
these are our opinions of what we like,
Yeah.
and what you like may be different. We're not saying you're wrong.
We're just saying we're right. And that's our opinion. No, but
It's our opinion that you've got bad taste.
yeah. No, but if you're looking for something new to watch, I would suggest staying away from things that end without prior notice, and especially leave you like Deception on a fuck you, I'm not going to continue anymore, but also here's a whole bunch of lore that I'm about to drop
Yeah.
and give you no context
But
for.
but the other side of that coin is then stuff like Friends and my personal favorite sitcom, How I Met Your Mother, where it had gone a little bit too long.
Like Supernatural.
Like Supernatural after season 5.
We will have our arguments afterwards. But yes, tell us in the comments if you're on YouTube. Hi, welcome. Tell us in the comments anything you want to talk about. We'll get the notifications. We will do our best to reply as much as we can. Those of you in chat, thank you again so much. Appreciated the talks. The fact that it's not just us two idiots rambling on. We get to yell at a screen instead and stare at a tiny little camera over there.
One tiny little camera.
Yes, and it's not that far off. Hi. I want to see how long it actually takes. Oh, we're going to watch this twice. But yeah, so again, we've been absolute buggery. We have just really enjoyed a whole bunch of the shit we talk about.
Yeah.
We have stemmed off of DC, which Marvel. Apologies, but again, we've just started out, so don't expect everything to be like Marvel. It's just we had a point to start.
Yeah, and I mean Marvel will be coming back with What If, and then Shang-Chi, and then.
So I was thinking about this earlier before we do officially go off. Suggestion on or something that you're excited to experience for the first time in terms of a movie.
I actually had that last night, which was The Wish Dragon on Netflix, which is an excellent movie.
For those of you out there who haven't done it, go watch Wish Dragon.
Yeah.
Before he rambles on about something I don't know, I'm going to let him not spoil it for me.
No, I won't spoil it. That, and we watched Soul, and Steph and I have been like trying to go and watch a bunch of different movies.
We love you guys too. Those of you in chat, love you guys too.
We love you too. I'm pretty excited for all of the Marvel stuff.
So
That's on its way.
there is one that I was, the reason why I brought this up is one I'm so excited, especially because it stems off of Vladimir the Destroyer being Mobius.
Oh yeah,
I know it is a Marvel.
But it's not Marvel MCU Marvel.
No.
It's, though we'll find out that when
They decide to release it
yes.
to the rest of humankind, because not only have they just let on with Jared Leto. No, it's not Jared Leto.
No, it is.
It is Jared Leto, yes.
As far as
No,
I know.
he grew his hair. That's why I couldn't
Yes.
tell. With Jared Leto being, I mean, we ignore DC, but what he's portrayed so far and what we've seen, I hope it doesn't do that whole. Here's everything interesting in the entire movie in the
Yeah.
trailer and nothing else interesting otherwise.
Look, I'm
I'm hoping it takes off like I wanted to.
I'm also excited for the Suicide Squad.
That I am, especially because I want to watch all of these people talk to an invisible man for most of the time.
And I mean,
because-
like it's got Idris Elba and John Cena and Nathan Fillion in it. It's got a good cast.
yeah, so I want to see, especially we were talking about this about 2-3 hours ago, talking about how horrible the first
Yeah.
one came out, and starting at a low level,
And
there's nothing else but up.
and also it's James Gunn who did Guardians, who's directing it. So
Yeah.
hopefully, but outside of superheroes, because I am very excited for the slated Marvel stuff, is Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune.
I'm excited for Dune as well.
That releases in October, so I may need to go and finish my reread.
I think I'm not gonna have enough time.
It's as long as Lord of the Rings, so
Yes.
probably not.
Definitely not gonna have enough time, but I will and am excited
It looks
for the movie
good.
itself. Yeah.
And
So
and it's ambitious, and I'm keen to see where they do it.
game definitely is the easiest one. Sons of the Forest.
Sons of the Forest.
For all of us, even those in chat who have played the Forest, Sons of the Forest is definitely our next up and comer.
Yes.
Series, I haven't really had any.
There's nothing I can think of. Like
Did that just die?
Yes, it did. Damn it.
Okay, I'm gonna keep spewing on shit. There's nothing that's really been released in terms of series recently for us, so I don't think there's much interest outside.
No, there's nothing. There's no series aside from Umbrella Academy season 3 that I'm like super hyped for.
Well, that's more of a continuation.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
looking more of as a brand new release comparison.
Oh, I guess TV series don't really get the same fanfare.
Until release is done.
Yeah, until the court of public opinion has had their go. Until the court of public opinion has had their go of it. Just go back there for me. Okay, cool. And we're back. You can see our faces again.
Well, it's gonna be for like 2 minutes.
we end the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no TV series that I'm like super keen for. I guess it's just the massive backlog that I need to get through.
Yeah, but I think there is a lot coming out that's continuations of a lot of the stuff we have already watched. I mean,
I guess a new series that I am pretty keen for, again, it's Marvel, but What If?
yeah, I mean that stems off of the entirety of Phase 4 coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see for that.
Mm.
Books. You and I both recently got Ready Player 2 that we haven't
I
finished.
No, there's no books that I'm eagerly awaiting.
What I will say, well, now I am, because of Talora, I do remember, I am excited for a Percy Jackson
TV show.
show.
But I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon.
Probably not, no.
Not with the pandemic and you know it being in its infancy. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
No, but I am excited, as we were talking about Ready Player One, I am excited for the original authors or original concept idea people to be involved.
Hmm.
And I think that's what's lacks in a lot of conversions,
Hmm.
which then gets all of the hype, or all of the
Yeah.
negative hype, if
Yeah.
I can put it that way. But I'm definitely excited to see what he's capable of from a cinematic
Yeah.
perspective.
Hopefully
Because
he
from the
doesn't-
storytelling, he's fantastic.
J.K. Rowling it. But yeah, on books, there's nothing. I mean, Lev Grossman, who's the author of The Magicians, has been working on a King Arthur story for the past too long. And I mean, all of the fantasy books, all the books that I'm excited for, their authors are like kind of defunct, like Martin and Patrick Rothfuss and Scott Lynch, guys who have written these massive book series, and like book series has got a massive following, and then they just don't release.
And
And
then
now they
yeah.
they just go
They drop off the face of the earth in terms of
they
what
just
they're
go
initially.
nah, not another one.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, I think we've pretty much done it all.
Yeah.
Discussed it all. Had another good 2-hour VOD to upload again. The other one uploaded within a night, so I was quite happy.
Yeah.
Thank you, my love, for letting me use your shit. I'm going to use it some more. But thank you everyone for watching. Those of you who are
thanks,
listening,
guys.
thank you for listening. Those of you watching the VOD, we still appreciate everything you guys, do for us in chat. Thanks for the conversation. We've been absolute buggery, and we have opinions. Good night.